The massive ship of the Galactic Council hovered in Earth's orbit, its silhouette blotting out the stars behind it. It was designed to intimidate, all sharp angles and protruding weapons systems, a testament to the military might that had subjugated 1,000 worlds. The Council had performed this ritual countless times. Arrive, threaten, watch the primitive species cower, and then accept their new vassals into the fold of galactic civilization. It was practically ceremonial at this point. High Ambassador Vrexer adjusted his ceremonial regalia, which sparkled with the rare metals of a dozen conquered planets. His species had evolved for intimidation, standing nearly 3 meters tall with iridescent scales and multiple sets of arms. The neural implants embedded in his skull connected him to the vast knowledge repositories of the Council, ensuring he would speak with the full authority of 10,000 years of galactic dominance. "The transmission is prepared, High Ambassador," said his aide, a smaller being from a long-subjugated race who had found security in service to the Council. "Begin," Vrexer commanded, his voice modulated to project maximum authority. The holographic projection systems activated, broadcasting his image to every screen, communication device, and holographic projector on the planet below. The Council's technology easily overrode Earth's communication networks, a deliberately invasive act meant to demonstrate their technological superiority. "People of Earth," Vrexer began, his multiple sets of eyes blinking in sequence, a gesture his species used to convey absolute certainty. "I speak as the voice of the Galactic Council, the governing body of civilized space. Your primitive world has been observed and deemed ready for integration. You will surrender your sovereignty, contribute your resources to our collective, and accept our guidance in all matters. This is not a negotiation." He paused, allowing the translation software to convert his words into all Earth languages simultaneously. "Resistance is not advised. The Council's patience is limited, and our power is beyond your comprehension." With a gesture, he triggered the display of planets the Council had previously disciplined, worlds reduced to molten slag, atmospheres stripped away, continents cracked like eggshells. The images were chosen specifically for their psychological impact, a visual demonstration of consequences that had proven effective on countless worlds. "You have 1 planetary rotation to begin compliance procedures. We await your surrender." The transmission ended abruptly, another psychological tactic designed to prevent any response or negotiation. Vrexer turned to his command staff. "Monitor their communication networks. I expect their leaders are already organizing surrender terms. The usual pattern of chaos and fear should emerge shortly." On Earth, the United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from the world's major powers gathered around the circular table, but the atmosphere was strikingly calm considering the circumstances. There was some concern, certainly, but it was tempered with a distinct undertone of annoyance. Ambassador Tran of Vietnam, recently appointed as Earth's chief diplomatic officer for extraterrestrial affairs following her groundbreaking work in international conflict resolution, studied the replay of the alien transmission on her tablet. Her perfectly tailored suit and composed demeanor belied none of the pressure of the situation. "So," she said, breaking the silence, "it seems we have what amounts to an interstellar telemarketer with an unusually aggressive sales pitch." The comment broke the tension in the room, eliciting a few chuckles. The Secretary General nodded. "Ambassador Tran, you've been appointed to handle this situation. What's your assessment?" She stood, straightening her jacket. "Based on the transmission, we're dealing with an expansionist empire using intimidation as their primary diplomatic approach. Their technology is impressive, but their methodology is unimaginative. They've clearly used this script before. Are the threats credible?" asked the representative from Kenya. Ambassador Tran glanced at the military advisors, who shrugged almost imperceptibly. "Possibly," she replied, "but their approach suggests they prefer compliance without actual conflict. I recommend a measured response, neither hostile nor immediately compliant." We acknowledge receipt of their communication and inform them that Earth will consider their proposal according to our established diplomatic protocols. So, basically, put them on hold? The UK representative asked with a slight smile. Diplomatically speaking, yes, Ambassador Tran confirmed. We tell them we'll get back to them in the next financial quarter. The decision was approved unanimously. Ambassador Tran was authorized to draft a response that was technically polite, but effectively dismissive, buying time while Earth scientists and military analyzed what little they could of the alien vessels. Meanwhile, across the planet, the reaction to the alien ultimatum was developing along unexpected lines. Nova Spark, an internet personality with over 2 billion followers across multiple platforms, went live within minutes of the transmission. With her trademark electric blue hair and casual approach to potentially apocalyptic events, she quickly captured the public's attention. Okay, so alien invasion, I guess? But seriously, did you all see that outfit? Multiple arms is a cool evolutionary trait, but those metal shoulder pads are giving serious 1980s fashion disaster vibes. And the voice modulation? Someone needs to tell Space Overlord that sounding like you gargled with gravel doesn't actually make you scarier. Her livestream accumulated viewers at a record pace as she dissected the aliens' appearance, mannerisms, and threats with the same irreverent tone she usually reserved for celebrity gossip and technology reviews. And those destruction images? I mean, I've seen better CGI in student films. If you're going to threaten to destroy our planet, at least hire a decent graphics team. She paused to read some comments. Exactly. At Galactic Meme Lord already turned that weird eye-blinking thing into a TikTok challenge. Hashtag Blink Like an Alien is trending worldwide. Within hours, the internet was flooded with memes, parodies, remixes, and detailed breakdowns of the alien transmission. News channels struggled to maintain a tone of appropriate gravity when reporting on a threat that the public had so quickly transformed into entertainment. Dr. Eris Thorne barely noticed the commotion. In his laboratory at the International Zero-Point Energy Research Facility, he was far more concerned with the subtle energy fluctuations that had begun interfering with his experiments since the alien ships arrived in orbit. Interesting, he muttered, observing the readouts. The energy emissions from the alien vessels were creating a noticeable pattern of disruption in his delicate equipment. He adjusted his glasses and began typing rapidly, modifying his experimental parameters. A colleague poked her head into the lab. Dr. Thorne, aren't you concerned about the alien ultimatum? They're threatening to destroy the planet. He glanced up momentarily. Oh, that. No, not particularly. Their energy emission patterns suggest an interesting but rather inefficient approach to power generation. I'm more concerned about the way it's interfering with our zero-point experiments. So, you're just going to continue working? Of course. These fluctuations might actually provide some valuable data on how different energy fields interact with our containment systems. If anything, the aliens have provided us with an unexpected test condition. He returned to his computers, already mentally calculating modifications to his equipment that might filter out or compensate for the alien energy signatures. His colleague stared at him for a moment, then shrugged and left. For Dr. Thorne, even the arrival of potentially hostile aliens was primarily a scientific curiosity, a distraction from his real work rather than an existential threat. Zorp, a junior observation officer for the Galactic Council, was having the most confusing day of his career. Disguised as a human and stationed on Earth for the past month to gather preliminary intelligence, he had expected to report on the wave of panic following the High Ambassador's ultimatum. Instead, he was sitting in a coffee shop, watching humans go about their business with remarkable indifference to their impending subjugation. He carefully composed his report on his disguised communication device. Most esteemed High Ambassador, I regret to report anomalous behavior from the Earth population following your ultimatum. Instead of the expected panic, submission, or even organized resistance, the dominant response appears to be disinterest coupled with what they term humor. Your transmission has been widely distributed, but is being treated as entertainment rather than a threat. Numerous digital manipulations, called memes, are circulating, mocking your appearance, manner of speech, and even the destruction imagery. The most popular features your eye-blinking sequence set to rhythmic music. I'm unable to explain why this species does not exhibit appropriate fear. Their military forces have made no significant mobilization, though some scientific facilities appear to be studying your vessel's energy emissions. I respectfully request guidance on interpreting this unprecedented response. Your loyal servant, Zorp. He sent the message, then ordered another caramel macchiato, a bizarre earth beverage he had grown surprisingly fond of during his assignment. The human behind the counter smiled and asked if he wanted to try their alien invasion special, a bright green drink with multiple straws for all your extra appendages. Zorp politely declined, wondering if his disguise had somehow been compromised, only to realize it was yet another example of the humans making light of the situation. In orbit, High Ambassador Vrexer received Zorp's report with increasing confusion and irritation. The command center of the flagship fell silent as he read it aloud, his scales shifting to a deeper hue that signified displeasure. "This makes no sense," he finally declared. "Every species responds to our ultimatums with either immediate surrender or futile military preparation. None has ever responded with memes." His advisors exchanged uncomfortable glances, none wanting to offer explanations that might further agitate the High Ambassador. "Perhaps they do not fully comprehend the seriousness of our threats," suggested the weapons officer tentatively. "Or their social structure is so disorganized that they cannot mount a coherent response," offered another. Vrexer's scales rippled with annoyance. "Whatever the cause, it is unacceptable. We cannot allow a primitive species to simply ignore the Galactic Council." Just then, a communication officer approached with evident reluctance. "High Ambassador, we have received a response from Earth's designated representative." The large view screen activated, displaying Ambassador Tran's poised face. "Greetings, representatives of the Galactic Council. I am Ambassador Tran, speaking on behalf of the United Nations of Earth. We acknowledge receipt of your communication regarding potential integration into your interstellar community. Earth appreciates your interest in our planet. We will review your proposal according to our established diplomatic protocols. Due to the complexity of our global governance systems, a comprehensive response may require time. We anticipate being able to provide initial feedback during our next financial quarter. In the meantime, we request that you refrain from interfering with our communication systems and civilian broadcasts, as this violates our regulations regarding unsolicited communications. We look forward to a productive dialogue based on mutual respect." In transmission, the command center remained silent for several long moments after the message ended. It was technically diplomatic, contained no outright refusal, yet managed to be entirely dismissive of the Council's authority. It treated the extinction-level threat as a business proposal that had been filed for routine processing. Vrexer's scales had shifted to a modeled pattern that none of his subordinates had seen before, the biological equivalent of stunned disbelief mixed with outrage. They put us on hold," he finally sputtered. "Like common supplicants? Do they not understand who we are? What we can do to their world?" No one dared answer. "Clearly," he said, regaining his composure, "these humans require a demonstration, something to remind them of the consequences of disrespect." He turned to his weapons officer. "Prepare a targeted energy strike. Something noticeable but not catastrophic, perhaps one of their uninhabited deserts or a remote ocean location. Let them see our power firsthand. Perhaps then they will give the Galactic Council the fear and respect it deserves." The demonstration strikes came 3 days later. The Galactic Council vessels positioned themselves over Earth's Sahara Desert and fired energy weapons that created massive, perfectly circular impact zones in the sand visible from orbit. Simultaneously, they generated immense waterspouts in the South Pacific Ocean, miles high and charged with swirling energy. The Council also began broadcasting propaganda across all frequencies. Images of prosperous planets under Council rule, testimonials from species who had benefited from integration, and repeated reminders of the consequences of defiance. The results were not what they expected. The desert energy strikes disrupted several major communications relays that had been buried beneath the sand, temporarily knocking out internet service to parts of North Africa and disrupting a major international drone racing competition being broadcast worldwide. The oceanic disturbances created unusual wave patterns that reached distant shores, washing away a sandcastle competition in Australia and forcing the postponement of several scientific research vessels' expeditions. The propaganda broadcast interrupted regular programming worldwide, overlapping with everything from news broadcasts to streaming services, sports events, and online gaming. The global reaction was swift, but not in the form of fear or compliance. "This is getting ridiculous," complained popular streamer Gamer Queen 007 as alien propaganda interrupted her tournament finals. "I had a perfect score going, and now I have to listen to some multi-armed lizard tell me about the benefits of galactic taxation? Can someone file a complaint with the Space FCC or something?" Social media exploded with irritation rather than panic. Hashtags like hashtag alien spam, hashtag galactic nuisance, and hashtag interstellar Karens trended globally. Public sentiment shifted from amused disinterest to active annoyance. News networks began covering the disruptions as they would any other inconvenience, alongside weather events and traffic reports. "Expect delays on your morning commute due to the alien energy weapon demonstration in the Pacific causing unusual fog conditions along the coast," announced one traffic reporter with remarkable composure. At the International Zero-Point Energy Research Facility, Dr. Thorne was beyond frustrated. The alien energy weapons had created electromagnetic pulses that completely destabilized his delicate experimental apparatus, corrupting weeks of data collection. "This is simply unacceptable," he muttered, reviewing the ruined datasets. "How am I supposed to maintain experimental constants with these random energy fluctuations?" After several hours of attempting to compensate for the disruptions, he had a realization. The energy signatures from the alien weapons operated on predictable frequencies, different from Earth technology, but not incomprehensible. With some adjustments, he might be able to create a filter or dampening field that would protect his equipment. Working through the night, fueled by caffeine and scientific determination, Dr. Thorne developed a prototype energy modulator that could absorb, redirect, or nullify the specific energy wavelengths used by the Council's technology. By morning, he had a working device that successfully protected his laboratory equipment from further interference. "Fascinating side effect," he noted in his research journal. "The modulator not only blocks incoming energy patterns, but can potentially redirect them or even absorb them for later use. The aliens have inadvertently provided insights into energy manipulation that might have taken us decades to discover independently." Following the scientific community's open-source ethos, Dr. Thorne uploaded his schematics and findings to an international research repository, considering it a minor contribution that might help other scientists dealing with similar interference issues. He included detailed notes on the construction of what he called an alien energy interference filter and returned to his primary research without giving it much more thought. Ambassador Tran, however, was keeping meticulous records of the public nuisances caused by the alien demonstrations. She drafted a formal diplomatic protest note. "To the representatives of the Galactic Council, the government of Earth must formally protest your recent activities, which have caused significant disruption to civilian infrastructure and communications. These actions constitute violations of Earth's regulations regarding 1. Unauthorized use of planetary airspace. 2. Disruption of civilian communications. 3. Generation of environmental disturbances. 4. Broadcasting unsolicited content. We request immediate cessation of these activities. Should they continue, Earth may be forced to implement technical countermeasures to protect our citizens from these nuisance violations. Regarding your integration proposal, it remains under review by the appropriate committees. We anticipate preliminary feedback within 60 to 90 Earth days." Ambassador in Tran, United Nations Office for Extraterrestrial Affairs. The message was delivered with the same polite but dismissive tone as the first, treating the planet-destroying alien armada as if they were simply inconsiderate neighbors playing music too loudly. Meanwhile, Dr. Thorne's energy modulator design was spreading rapidly through scientific and engineering communities worldwide. What he had created as a solution to his laboratory problems was quickly recognized as having broader applications. Amateur radio operators were the first to adapt the technology, creating simple devices that could block the alien propaganda broadcast from their equipment. Electronics enthusiasts followed, developing small-scale modulators that could protect home entertainment systems and internet connections from alien interference. As the designs circulated online, they evolved and improved through collaborative refinement. Some engineers added features that could not only block the alien energy patterns, but redirect them, creating what they jokingly called return-to-sender functionality. Others discovered that the captured energy could be stored in modified battery systems, essentially harvesting free energy from the alien broadcasts. Major technology companies took notice, rapidly developing commercial versions of what was now being called the Thorne Deflector, or more popularly, the Meme Shield. Within weeks, these devices were being mass-produced and distributed globally. Zorp continued to file increasingly distressed reports to the High Ambassador. Most esteemed High Ambassador, the situation continues to defy standard subjugation protocols. The humans have now categorized your demonstrations of power as public nuisances rather than existential threats. Their response has been to develop technological countermeasures, which they are sharing freely among their population. The cultural phenomenon they call memes has intensified. Your likeness now appears in numerous entertainment contexts, including a popular dance challenge mimicking your authoritative gestures. A musical remix of your ultimatum speech has entered their global music charts. Most concerning, they appear to have somehow weaponized their indifference. Their representative continues to address the council as if it were a minor administrative entity rather than the supreme galactic authority. I respectfully request reassignment to a more conventional observation post. The human capacity for irreverence is beginning to affect my own adherence to council protocols. Yesterday, I caught myself humming the remix of your speech while completing my reports, a serious breach of proper respect. Your increasingly confused servant. Zorp. In orbit, High Ambassador Vrexer was facing a crisis unprecedented in his long career. The Council's standard intimidation protocol was failing completely, and he was under increasing pressure from his superiors to resolve the situation. This cannot continue, he declared to his command staff. We must take more decisive action. These humans must learn to fear the Council, as all species do. What do you propose, High Ambassador? Asked his second-in-command cautiously. A targeted military strike against an actual installation. Something valuable, but with minimal life forms. We are not barbarians, after all. Perhaps one of their automated weather research stations on their gas giant, or one of their unmanned asteroid mining operations. The destruction of actual infrastructure may finally make them understand the seriousness of our demands. The order was given. A detachment of Council warships departed Earth orbit, heading toward Saturn, where humans had established an automated weather research station that monitored the gas giant's complex atmosphere patterns. The installation represented a significant investment of resources and technological achievement for Earth, but was currently uncrewed. The Earth Defense Force, a relatively new branch of international military cooperation primarily focused on asteroid defense and space traffic control, reluctantly diverted attention from their regular duties. Commander Eva Rostova, a veteran astronaut with a no-nonsense approach to space operations, received the alert about alien vessels approaching the Saturn research station with a deep sigh. Really? We're actually doing this, she muttered, reviewing the incoming data. Scramble response team, though I doubt we'll get there before they've had their fun. An aide approached with a tablet. Commander, engineering has fast-tracked integration of the Thorne Deflector technology into our defensive systems. All vessels in the Saturn sector have been retrofitted. Commander Rostova raised an eyebrow. That was quick, efficient work. Yes, ma'am. The open-source nature of the technology allowed for rapid deployment. The modifications were surprisingly straightforward. Well, Let's hope Dr. Thorne's tinkering does more than just keep the aliens from interrupting your favorite shows, she replied dryly. Deploy the response team with orders to observe and protect the station if possible, but prioritize crew safety. I'm not losing personnel over an automated weather station, no matter how expensive it was. The EDF vessels reached Saturn's orbit shortly after the Council warships. They were older models, originally designed for research and transport rather than combat, hastily retrofitted with a new defensive technology. Against the sleek, purpose-built war machines of the Galactic Council, they appeared hopelessly outmatched. The Council ships took position around the Saturn research station, weapons systems powering up. Their sensors detected the approaching Earth vessels, but dismissed them as insignificant, likely observation units sent to witness the demonstration of power. The attack began as planned. Energy weapons fired at the research station, bright beams cutting through space toward the delicate instruments and solar arrays. But something unexpected happened. As the energy beams reached the station's perimeter, they encountered an invisible field that caused them to distort, dissipate, or in some cases, reflect back toward their source. The station's automated systems, recently updated with Thorne deflector technology, were actively countering the alien weapons. Even more surprisingly, parts of the station began to glow with absorbed energy, its power reserves suddenly charging to maximum capacity. Environmental shields that normally required significant power to maintain against Saturn's radiation suddenly operated at peak efficiency without draining the station's resources. The Council weapons officers increased power, convinced that they simply needed to overwhelm the unexpected defenses. This only resulted in more energy being absorbed or deflected, with some backflow causing minor systems failures on their own vessels. Commander Rostova watched the scene unfold from the bridge of the EDF flagship, her expression shifting from resigned acceptance of the station's destruction to bewildered amusement. Are they actually charging our station's batteries?" she asked incredulously. "Yes, ma'am," replied the science officer, reviewing incoming data. "The Thorne deflector isn't just blocking their energy weapons. It's converting the energy to forms our systems can use. The research station is currently operating at 300% normal power capacity. If they keep this up, we might need to implement emergency venting procedures to prevent overload." Rostova stared at the tactical display for a moment longer, then began to laugh, a sound rarely heard on a bridge. "Open a channel to the alien vessels." The communications officer complied, establishing a connection to the Council flagship. "Attention, Galactic Council vessels. This is Commander Eva Rostova of the Earth Defense Force. We appreciate the power donation to our research station, but I feel obligated to inform you that our systems can only safely absorb so much additional energy. If you continue your current activities, we cannot guarantee the safety of your own vessels due to potential energy reflection. We recommend you cease fire for your own protection." The message was delivered with perfect military professionalism, but the underlying message was unmistakable. Your weapons are not only ineffective, they're actually helping us. On the Council flagship, the weapons officer stared at the readouts in disbelief. "High Ambassador, their station is absorbing our energy strikes. Some of the energy is being reflected back, causing minor system disruptions in our forward batteries." "Impossible," Rexer snarled. "Increase power to maximum. No primitive defense can withstand the full might of Council weaponry." The order was carried out, but with catastrophic results for the Council ships. As they channeled maximum power into their weapons, the reflected energy increased proportionally, causing cascading system failures throughout the attacking fleet. Warning alarms blared as shields faltered, navigation systems glitched, and power cores began to show instability. The Council attack abruptly ceased, not from choice but necessity, as the ships had to divert all remaining power to stabilizing their critical systems. Meanwhile, Nova Spark was live-streaming her reaction to the entire event, which was being transmitted back to Earth via the now super-powered research station's enhanced communications array. "Okay, so alien space lizards just tried to blow up our Saturn weather station, but instead, they basically just gave it the biggest battery recharge ever. This is literally the worst invasion in history. She doubled over laughing before continuing. Who brings weapons to a fight that actually make your opponent stronger? This is like bringing a phone charger to a duel. Her stream reached record-breaking viewer numbers. Comments flooded in so quickly they became a blur of emojis and laughter. Music producers were already sampling the sounds of the alien weapons being absorbed for a new wave of dance tracks. The humiliation of the Galactic Council was being broadcast across Earth in real time, transformed into entertainment even as it occurred. In the aftermath, the Council ships limped away from Saturn, their once intimidating presence now significantly diminished. High Ambassador Vrexer faced the most difficult report of his career, trying to explain to his superiors how a supposedly primitive species had not only refused to be intimidated, but had somehow turned the Council's most powerful weapons against them. The humans possess technology that defies our understanding, he wrote, choosing his words carefully. Their ability to manipulate energy fields exceeds our current capabilities in specific applications. More concerning is their psychological resistance to standard intimidation protocols. They appear to have weaponized indifference and mockery in a manner we have not previously encountered. The report was met with disbelief and alarm throughout the Council hierarchy. Species that had long accepted Council rule, without question, began to whisper about the strange humans who laughed in the face of extinction threats. Council members who had harbored doubts about the leadership's methods found themselves quietly wondering if there might be alternatives to the millennia-old approach of intimidate, threaten, and conquer. News of the failed attack spread through unconventional channels. Interstellar traders who visited Earth for curiosity or profit carried stories of human irreverence back to their home worlds. Translated memes began to circulate in the shadowy corners of the galactic information networks, at first as bizarre curiosities, but gradually gaining appreciation as forms of resistance. Meanwhile, Dr. Thorne and the scientific community of Earth had realized the true potential of the technology that had developed almost accidentally. The principles behind the Thorne deflector had applications far beyond defensive measures against alien energy weapons. The energy manipulation capabilities we've discovered could revolutionize our approach to power generation. Dr. Thorne explained to a global conference of scientists assembled hastily to discuss the implications. By adapting these principles, we could potentially create clean, virtually unlimited energy sources by harvesting background radiation or even zero-point energy from space itself. The technology offered other possibilities as well. More efficient radiation shielding for deep space exploration, improved propulsion systems, and even theoretical applications for faster-than-light travel that had previously seemed centuries away from practical implementation. As Earth scientists developed these applications with remarkable speed, Ambassador Tran saw an opportunity for a different kind of interstellar relations, one based on cooperation rather than subjugation. She drafted a message that was broadcast not just to the Galactic Council ships still in Earth orbit, but transmitted on all frequencies used for interstellar communication, to all sentient species of the galaxy. Earth extends an invitation for peaceful scientific and cultural exchange. We are prepared to share our recently developed energy manipulation technology with any civilization interested in collaborative advancement rather than conquest or domination. Our only conditions are respect for sovereignty and commitment to peaceful applications of shared knowledge. We believe cooperation leads to greater progress than coercion. This offer extends to all members of the Galactic Council, with the exception of its current leadership, whose repeated violations of basic diplomatic protocols and attempts at intimidation have demonstrated their unsuitability as partners in peaceful exchange. We look forward to beginning a new era of galactic relations based on mutual benefit rather than fear. Ambassador and Tran, United Nations Office for Extraterrestrial Affairs. The message sent shockwaves through the galactic community. It was unprecedented, a species not only rejecting Council authority, but offering an alternative model of interaction, backed by technology that had proven effective against Council weapons. The response was not immediate, but began as a trickle that soon became a flood. Small, previously subjugated species made tentative contact, asking for more information about Earth's energy technology. Independent traders increased their visits to the Sol system, bringing goods, information, and cultural exchange. More significantly, fractures began to appear within the Galactic Council itself. Member species that had joined under duress or remained out of fear saw an opportunity for a different kind of galactic community. Economic factions within the Council recognized the potential value of Earth's technology and began pressuring for policy changes. Even military commanders and scientists within the Council structure expressed curiosity about the unusual species that had so casually upended millennia of established power dynamics. High Ambassador Vrexer watched with growing alarm as the foundation of Council authority eroded not through military defeat, but through a kind of cultural and economic subversion he had no tools to combat. This cannot be tolerated, he declared to what remained of his loyal command staff. We must take decisive action to crush this rebellion before it spreads further. Prepare the Grand Armada for a final assault on Earth. We will end this threat to Council authority once and for all. But the order, which would have once been obeyed without question, now met with hesitation and quiet resistance. Ships reported mechanical issues requiring maintenance. Supply chains experienced unexpected delays. Crew members requested transfers or suddenly required medical leave. The grand military machine that had enforced Council will for millennia was seizing up, not through outright mutiny, but through 1,000 small acts of passive resistance. When the Grand Armada finally assembled, it represented barely a third of the force Vrexer had commanded. As they approached Earth, they found not a defenseless planet, but a system transformed. The Thorn deflector technology had been fully integrated into Earth's defense systems. More surprisingly, ships of various designs and origins, many bearing the markings of Council member species, were in orbit around Earth, engaged in trade, cultural exchange, and technological collaboration. Vrexer stared at the tactical display in disbelief. They dare to defect, to trade with these me-makers. His second-in-command, who had served loyally for decades, spoke with careful neutrality. High Ambassador, perhaps we should consider diplomatic alternatives. The situation appears to have evolved beyond standard protocols. Diplomacy? Vrexer's scales flushed with rage. We are the Galactic Council. We do not negotiate with primitive species. We command them. All weapons. Target Earth's major population centers. We will show the galaxy what happens to those who defy us. But as the order was reluctantly processed, a new problem emerged. The targeting systems failed to lock onto Earth cities. Instead, they encountered a planet-wide energy field that dispersed scanning beams and confounded guidance systems. High Ambassador, reported the increasingly nervous weapons officer, we cannot establish targeting solutions. Their planetary defense field is unlike anything in our records. Before Vrexer could respond, a communication came through, not from Earth's official representatives, but from Commander Rostova of the Earth Defense Force. Galactic Council vessels, this is Commander Rostova. We have detected your weapons systems attempting to target civilian populations, a direct violation of interstellar humanitarian principles. In response, we have activated our planetary defense grid. Your weapons will find no targets here. We have no desire for conflict. Earth's defense policy is non-destructive in nature. However, should you attempt hostile action, be advised that our defense systems are now capable of complete energy absorption and neutralization of your fleet's offensive capabilities. In simple terms, you can't hurt us, but you could harm yourselves. I recommend you power down weapons and consider joining the growing community of species who have chosen cooperation over outdated power structures. The choice is yours. The message was delivered with the calm confidence of someone stating simple facts rather than making threats. It was followed immediately by a second transmission. This one, a multi-species broadcast from the various alien vessels in Earth orbit, each representative declaring their independence from Council authority and their new trading partnerships with Earth. On the bridge of the Council flagship, Vrexer's authority crumbled before his eyes. His crew looked to him not with fear or respect, but with a new emotion he had never faced from subordinates: pity. His second-in-command stepped forward. "High Ambassador, I must formally advise that continuing this action would violate our own military protocols regarding unwinnable conflicts and unnecessary loss of life. I recommend immediate stand-down of all weapons systems." Vrexer stared at the view screen showing Earth, the unremarkable blue planet that had somehow, without firing a shot, dismantled the power structure he had served his entire life. With a gesture of defeat, he gave the order to stand down. The once mighty armada of the Galactic Council hung motionless in space, weapons powered down, while around them, ships of former Council members freely traveled to and from Earth, carrying the beginnings of a new kind of interstellar community. In the days that followed, the structure of the Galactic Council underwent rapid transformation. The hardline leadership that had ruled through fear for millennia was quietly but firmly removed from power. In its place arose a looser confederation of worlds, united not by force, but by mutual interest in trade, cultural exchange, and scientific advancement. Earth, which had never sought a central role in galactic politics, found itself becoming an unlikely hub of innovation and cultural exchange. Dr. Thorne's energy manipulation technology, freely shared with peaceful partners, sparked a renaissance of scientific development across multiple species, addressing energy shortages that had driven much of the Council's resource-based conquests. Ambassador Tran found herself overwhelmed with requests for diplomatic relations from species across the galaxy. Earth's approach to interstellar relations, a strange combination of bureaucratic procedure, open-source collaboration, and irreverent humor, was proving unexpectedly appealing to many who had lived under the Council's rigid hierarchy. Commander Rostova was promoted to oversee the expansion of the Earth Defense Force into a true interstellar service, focused not on military dominance, but on implementing the new defense philosophy that had emerged from the conflict, systems designed to protect, rather than destroy, to neutralize threats without escalation. Dr. Thorne received the newly established Galactic Science Prize for his contributions, though he seemed more interested in the new research. Opportunities presented by collaboration with alien scientists than in any recognition. His laboratory expanded to include researchers from a dozen different species, all working together on energy manipulation technologies that promised to transform life throughout the galaxy. Zorp, the former Council observer, requested and received political asylum on Earth, eventually finding work as a cultural consultant helping Earth businesses understand their new alien trading partners. His unique perspective on both Council and Earth cultures made him invaluable in the emerging field of interspecies relations. Nova Spark continued to ride the wave of interstellar celebrity, her irreverent approach to galactic politics earning her followers across multiple species. Her final video about the Council crisis, titled "Drama Over, Folks. Now watch me unbox this new FTL tech," garnered unprecedented viewership as she casually demonstrated technology that would have been unimaginable months earlier. High Ambassador Vrexer, stripped of his position and ceremonial regalia, found himself facing an unexpected future. Rather than the execution or imprisonment he had feared, the new Interspecies Confederation offered rehabilitation and integration. His extensive knowledge of formerly Council-controlled worlds made him a reluctant but valuable consultant in the transition to the new galactic order. Some noted that, over time, he developed an appreciation for human humor, occasionally even sharing memes with former subordinates. The crews of the once mighty Council fleet were given choices: return to their homeworlds, join the various collaborative projects springing up throughout the galaxy, or settle in the new colonies being established through peaceful cooperation rather than conquest. Many chose the latter, finding unexpected freedom in worlds where hierarchy was based on contribution rather than intimidation. On Earth, life continued with remarkably little disruption. The existential threat that should have paralyzed civilization had instead been treated as an inconvenience, then a nuisance, and finally an opportunity for advancement. The integration of alien visitors and technologies into everyday life happened with surprising smoothness, treated with the same casual acceptance that had so baffled the Council. Schools added xenobiology and interstellar relations to their curricula, but students were often more interested in exchanging memes with alien peers than in formal diplomatic protocols. Restaurants added dishes inspired by alien cuisines, though often modified to suit human tastes. Transportation networks expanded to include short-range teleportation for cargo, though many people still preferred traditional methods for the experience. Dr. Thorne received the highest scientific honors Earth could bestow, but seemed genuinely more excited about the collaborative research possibilities than any recognition. When asked by a journalist if he felt proud that his invention had essentially saved Earth, he appeared momentarily confused. Saved Earth? That's rather dramatic, isn't it? I was simply trying to reduce interference in my zero-point energy experiments. The applications turned out to be more extensive than anticipated, but that's often how science progresses. He quickly turned the conversation back to the fascinating energy manipulation principles he was now developing with a team of interspecies researchers. Ambassador Tran, now serving as Earth's representative to the newly formed Galactic Confederation, maintained the same measured, slightly bureaucratic approach that had so disoriented the Council. When asked how she had remained so calm when facing extinction-level threats, she smiled slightly. Diplomatic service prepares you to maintain composure in all situations. Besides, becoming emotional about threats rarely improves outcomes. I simply applied standard procedural responses, which coincidentally proved effective against their particular negotiating style. The most profound change, perhaps, was the least visible. Throughout the galaxy, species that had lived under Council rule for generations began to question the foundations of authority and power. The human approach, irreverent, collaborative, bizarrely unconcerned with hierarchical posturing, offered an alternative model that many found liberating. The weaponized indifference that had so confused Zorp in his reports became a form of philosophical revolution, spreading not through conquest, but through memes, trade, and cultural exchange. Historians would later debate whether Earth had consciously employed a brilliant strategic defense or had simply stumbled into an effective approach through cultural idiosyncrasy. The humans themselves seemed unconcerned with the question, too busy exploring the galaxy, developing new technologies, solving old problems, and creating new forms of art and entertainment that incorporated their expanding understanding of the universe. When the anniversary of First Contact was proposed as a galactic holiday, Earth's representatives suggested instead a collaboration day focused on scientific and cultural exchange. The renaming was approved with minimal bureaucratic delay, and celebrations included both serious academic conferences and wildly popular meme-sharing festivals across thousands of worlds. As for the Galactic Council itself, the great power that had dominated the stars through fear and military might for millennia, it wasn't destroyed in a dramatic last battle or formally dissolved in a historic ceremony. Instead, it simply became increasingly irrelevant as new networks of cooperation and exchange formed around it, until one day, someone realized that no one had attended a council session in months, and the grand chambers that had once housed the masters of 1,000 worlds were being repurposed as a multicultural art installation and historical museum. The multiverse, it seemed, did not end with a bang or a whimper, but with a shrug, a laugh, and then an invitation to collaborate on something more interesting.